Hello everyone and welcome to our daily program, Cairo Local Time. It's 4 p.m. here in Cairo, ladies and gentlemen, and it's time for a daily program, Cairo Local Time, a new program brought to you here on Nile TV International, a new program with a new team every day on Nile TV International. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Rana Al-Qassas, and I'll be with you for the coming hour. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned. And for the next hour, we'll be bringing you the latest news and reports on the ongoing activities here in Egypt taking place. Minute by minute, we will also discuss a variety of topics and current events. Let's start with a quick look at today's news stories coming from Egypt. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this, ladies and gentlemen, and don't go away. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi met with a delegation from the U.S. National Security Business Council, a non-governmental organization that includes representative members from the U.S. business society interested in political and security issues related to the national security. President al-Sisi asserted during the meeting on the significance of the strategic relations between Egypt and the United States and on Egypt's keenness on boosting these relations in various fields. Al-Sisi also reviewed the latest developments that Egypt has witnessed in the political and economic aspects. The president tackled the ongoing national mega projects and Egypt's keenness to implement the economic reform plan despite security challenges caused by terrorist threats. And for their part, the delegation members expressed their support to the efforts exerted by Egypt to enhance its economy, promising that they will convey the real image for the positive developments in Egypt to the U.S. policy makers. Ladies and gentlemen, Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources Tariq Al-Mullah said North Alexandria natural gas fields will enter the stage of production in the second quarter this year, in line with directives by the political leadership for expediting production in Northern Alexandria and Zohra fields. He said that the first stage of North Alexandria field production will reach 500 million cubic feet of gas daily, whereas the second stage will reach 450 million cubic feet in July 2018. He also said that efforts are underway for expediting production at Zohra field, which will enter the stage of production later this year, 4 months ahead of schedule. He added that North Alexandria and Zohra fields enter the stage of production and Egypt will achieve self-sufficiency of natural gas by the beginning of 2019. To shed more light on this issue, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined on the phone, over the phone, by Mr. Amr Mohsen, an energy expert. A very good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Sir, we have the pleasure to have you here with us on Nile TV International on the program Cairo Local Time. Sir, we would like to know your opinion with regards to Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources Tariq Al-Mullah, who said that Egypt will achieve self-sufficiency of natural gas by the beginning of 2019. How will this be achieved from your own perspective, sir?
Well, this is certainly good news, of course, for everybody. We all remember quite well that we have been running short of gas for a number of years, and that this severe problem has eased off since about 2 years ago. And we are all happy, of course, that it seems to be over now for at least another decade.
Sir, how can Egypt benefit from its production of natural gas?
Well, of course, any country in the world would be very welcoming indigenous resources. And natural gas, of course, is very strategic because it not only enables burning it in power plants to produce electricity, but it also serves as the feedstock or even the main feedstock in a number of industries, like the production of polymers, the production of plastics, in the pharmaceutical industries, etc., etc. So it's very good news, of course.
Does Egypt have any export plans, sir, for its natural gas?
Well, of course, we have had since the 1990s discovered a number of gas fields, and the problem really, when we run short of gas, was not that we do not possess the gas, but the problem was that it was under the ground and it needed to be produced, and for that you need a lot of investment. In particular, that much of the gas resources of Egypt are under the deep water of the Mediterranean, which makes producing them not very straightforward in technical terms, but also require a lot of monetary investment to do that.
Mr. Amra Mohsen, are you optimistic with regards to achieving a self-sufficiency of natural gas here in Egypt, and when is this going to be achieved actually?
Yeah, of course, there's no doubt, because the plans are there, everything is there, the will is there, and yeah, I'm very positive that we will achieve it.
Sir, how is this going to be in addition to Egypt economically?
Well, like I said earlier, the natural gas really serves two main purposes. First, you burn it to produce electricity, which is very important, of course, in any country's social life and industrial life, etc. But also the other benefit of gas resources is industry as main feedstock for a number of industries. So it's very good news. It's very positive. We're going to get there. And I think we should all be quite comfortable in this issue.
Sir, Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources Tariq Al-Morra said that efforts are underway for expediting production of Zohra fields, which will enter the stage of production later this year, meaningly 4 months ahead of schedule. From your own point of view, sir, is this possible and applicable?
Yeah, of course. Because, you know, when in the oil industry, people take things very seriously. So when you have a plan and when you announce that plan, and like I said, when there is the will to achieve it, then of course things go according to schedule.
Mr. Amr Mohsen, an energy expert, we thank you so much for joining us here on Nile TV International in our program Cairo Local Time. Thank you so much, sir, for your analysis of the situation, sir. And we move on, ladies and gentlemen, with the cabinet which approved the International Monetary Fund (IMF) agreement, referring to the country's parliament. The approval follows a deal reached in August with the IMF over a $12 billion fund to be endorsed the government's reform program. More details in the following report. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for the details in full.
Cabinet approved the International Monetary Fund (IMF) agreement in a meeting on Wednesday, referring it to the country's parliament. In mid-August 2016, Egypt reached a staff-level agreement with the IMF over a $12 billion fund to endorse the government's reform program, which was embarked on in 2014 in an attempt to curb the growing state budget deficit, estimated at 12.2% of GDP in 2015-2016. The program includes cutting subsidies and the introduction of new taxes, such as the value-added tax. Last November, the Central Bank of Egypt, CBE, said it received an initial $2.75 billion from the IMF following the IMF's board approval of the fund. Article 127 of the Egyptian Constitution stipulates that the executive power may not obtain a loan or funding or engage in a project that is not listed in the approved state budget, which entails expenditure from the state treasury within the subsequent period, except with the approval of the House of Representatives. On the 3rd of November 2016, the CBE decided to liberalize the pound and raise key interest rates as part of a set of reforms aimed at alleviating a dollar shortage and stabilizing the country's economy. The fund will be repaid in 10 years with a 4.5-year grace.
Egypt's economic growth rate registered 3.4% of the gross domestic product (GDP) in the first quarter of the fiscal year 2016-2017. The cabinet made the statement following a meeting between Prime Minister Sharif Ismail and Minister of Planning Ashraf Al-Arabi. The country's economic growth stood at 3% of GDP in the first quarter of the fiscal year 2015-2016. According to the cabinet, the first quarter of 2016-2017 witnessed a noticeable development in national mega projects and an improved business environment, which was reflected in higher investment that contributed to overall growth. And still with the local news, ladies and gentlemen, Minister of Industry and Trade Tariq Qabil said that the Egyptian agriculture exports increased by 17% during 2016, adding that Egypt is currently the biggest citrus exporter in the world. The minister added in a statement issued on Wednesday during a meeting with investment banks representatives that Egypt has a lot of investment opportunities due to reforms implemented by the government, making Egypt one of the most attractive countries in the region for investments. He believes that the automotive industry strategy, which is currently being studied in Parliament, will make Egypt a leader in car manufacturing in the Middle East and Africa, and the strategic focuses on increasing the ratio of local components from 45% to 60%, and also provides incentives for exporters. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we have with us the Military Magazine, and to shed more details on the latest developments which took place in the military field, we present the Military Magazine, reviewing the achievements as well as the military deals signed between Egypt and different countries. Details and more details in the following report with our colleague Yasmin Al-Affas, Nile TV's reporter.
Minister of Defense Sadi Subhi held a meeting with a number of officers and soldiers on the role of the armed forces in protecting Egypt's national security. Subhi said that the armed forces will always support and guard the state with the aim to achieve security, stability, and development. He conveyed President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi's best regards to them, stressing that the president greatly appreciates their actions. The meeting also took up Egypt's efforts to support regional security and stability. Subhi urged the officers and soldiers to stick to principles of the Egyptian military and to continue to learn to be able to cope with advanced combat systems. As continuing efforts of border guards in guiding strikes blow for criminal elements and smugglers and traffickers aimed at harming Egyptian national security at all strategic directions, border guard forces in the 2nd Army Field Range of Discovery and destruction of a number 12 new tunnel slot borderline northern Sinai. In the scope of the southern military region, the armed forces captured 2 Syrians attempting illegal migration through Shalatin borders.
في 6 من يناير عام 2016 قام الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي بالحضور إلى قداس عيد الميلاد المجيد بالكاتدرائية المرقصية بالعباسية، وقد وجه الرئيس السيسي التهنئة لجميع المصريين بحلول عيد الميلاد المجيد. وأكد سيادته في كلمته بهذه المناسبة أنه لا أحد يستطيع أن يفرق بين المصريين مشيرا إلى أن المصريين قادرون على تجاوز كل الصعاب بالوحدة والإخاء.
القاهرة.
هنا القاهرة.
هنا القاهرة.
هنا القاهرة. هنا القاهرة. هنا القاهرة.
هنا القاهرة. القاهرة. القاهرة.
هنا القاهرة.
هنا القاهرة وحبيبي أنا دمي ما يروح بيكون جنبي.
هنا القاهرة. هنا القاهرة.
عيني على أهل كايرو نبط ابنها من يسايرو، الكل عامل مثالي ونسلم في بعض عاير.
هنا القاهرة الساحرة آسرة الهادرة الساهرة السافرة السافرة.
اللي لك حبيبي يحبك وتحب تهديه بهدية، هاتوا مصر الحليوة يقول لك دي صحيح هي أم الدنيا.
هنا القاهرة.
القاهرة ونيلنا وكلنا وأغانينا ومواويلنا وحكاوينا يا جمالنا. القاهرة تجيلنا تحن لنا. Take me back to Cairo, beside the river Nile. My heart belongs to Cairo, oh Cairo, where I have found my smile.
Twin panda cubs born at Vienna's Schönbrunn Zoo this summer were officially named at a ceremony attended by Austria's Vice-Chancellor and the Chinese ambassador to Austria. Animal lovers were able to pick the name for the male cub in an online poll, finally deciding on Fu Ban, or Happy Half. Schönbrunn Zoo chose the name for his sister Fu Fing, or Lucky Phoenix. The zoo said that it had chosen the name for the female cub in October, but then appealed to the public to help find a name for her brother. Some 12,000 people voted, with almost half picking Fu Ban. The Chinese ambassador to Austria and Austria's vice-chancellor unveiled the names. Fu Fing, Fu means lucky, Fing means phoenix, lucky phoenix. Fu Ban means happy half. The meaning of the names is very important in China. Happy half can also be translated as happy companion. After the billboards were unveiled, Students from Vienna's Chinese school performed a traditional dragon dance for the Cubs' good luck. Western artwork by prominent artists such as Picasso, Monet, Warhol and others will be on sale at Christie's first private sale exhibition in Asia. The exhibition, named The Loaded Brush, will be the focus of Christie's Hong Kong autumn sales and is expected to fetch more than $250 million. The collection will be available for buyers on a first-come, first-served basis and is the first of any such private sale organized by an auction house in Asia. Northwest China's Shanxi province is home to many protected wild animals. In the face of bitter winter, they can come through unscathed by their own methods. 7-year-old Kizai, the world's only completely brown panda, lives in the Huaping Panda Wild Training Base in Hangzhou City. According to the staff of the base, Kizai stays healthy and has a good appetite during this winter. He never fears coldness and often walks leisurely on the snow. Besides bamboo, the staff prepares steamed bread made of milk powder, apples, carrots, and an assortment of special treats for Kizai, who usually finds a place to have a nap comfortably after filling his stomach.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching Cairo Local Time, a program brought to you every day at 4 p.m. with a new team, ladies and gentlemen. And now we have a special interview with Mr. Michel William to shed more light on means of enhancing tourism in Egypt, especially in the winter season, as many tourists are keen to visit Egypt to enjoy the sunny weather in cities like Luxor and Aswan. And we are joined here in the studio with Mr. Michel William, a tour guide. A very good afternoon, sir, and it's a pleasure to have you with us in this very special edition of Cairo Local Time, a new program brought to you by Nile TV International, sir. Sir, we start off our interview asking you to what extent Christmas time is considered an important season for tourism here in Egypt.
Well, Egypt being an important destination amongst many destinations in the world, tourism flourishes normally at the seasons, and Christmas season is one of the times when Egypt, despite the fact that we've seen like cold weather in these days, but normally people come for the sunshine at this time of the year. In the last few years, tourism wasn't up to the normal numbers due to many facts or many reasons. But this year it's flourishing, and statistics saying that we've received about 500,000 tourists last month, so that's a good indication.
Sir, first of all, I'd like to wish you a very Merry Christmas, because you just celebrated your festivities, sir. And I'd like to ask you the impact of the suicide bomb that took place in the St. Peter's Church and the impact of this bomb attack on the tourism in Egypt, whereas Christmas was a little bit far from very close to the bomb when it took place.
It did affect.
It affected.
Yes, it did affect tourism for some time. Affected some of the bookings, but on the whole, being in an area where there were different incidents in different places, very much the same time. Even in the States, so the concentration on this incident maybe a lot less than some of the other instances. But on the whole, as we see that, I mean, the whole world is understanding that it's not just Egypt that's facing a problem with terrorism, but it's the whole area. And with the new president in the States, who actually praised the leadership of Egypt and described Egypt as a backbone or an important in fighting terrorism, and that he's looking forward with working with the leadership in fighting terrorism. So that's a sign that the area will change, and more measures will be taken against terrorism, and hopefully that will, of course, Egypt will be affected by that.
Sir, in the field of tourism, what is the impact of a terrorist attack that unfortunately takes place every now and then hindering the movement of tourism in Egypt, and how much is the effect of this attack on the terrorism? How much is it retreated?
Well, if we go back to like some of the times last year and the year before and the year before, it's definitely it's a lot less. So there is a noticeable efforts that where, I mean, Egypt as a country is succeeding somehow in fighting terrorism, where I mean, as Egyptians we feel a lot safer than what we used to feel some time ago. But of course tourism is a very fragile industry, and it was affected badly by all the different incidents that happened, whether by terrorism on land or even in the plane bombing and all that. Along the way, it affected tourism very much to a great extent. But right now, I think we're gaining the world support, and people are understanding the key role of Egypt being a player in the area, and I think and also in fighting with the radical Islamic terrorism. So I'm hoping that things will change.
We're all hopeful, sir. Sir, do you expect tourism to increase and return to normal rates as soon as possible, or when do you predict that this is going to be taking place?
I'm optimistic that tourism will get back to Egypt to the normal rates over a very short period of time. I think we will see by next year a flourish in the tourism in Egypt.
Next year, you mean 2018?
2018, well, I'm optimistic that it will get back to great numbers that used to be.
And throughout 2017, what's your prediction?
It's coming back, but yeah, it won't reach the peak till I think another year.
Sir, what are the challenges facing the tourism sector?
I think we need a vision, and we need to set goals accordingly. I don't think that in a world of tourism that will be getting around 1 billion people in a few years' time. I don't think the numbers of Egypt can get easily 30-40 million tourists. We're not less than Thailand or Malaysia, and needless to say, the importance of tourism to the economy of Egypt, which we're all looking forward to improving this economy, and I think tourism should be taken into consideration, bearing in mind that tourism is a collective effort from the whole cabinet, the whole government, because it's a service industry, so it reflects all the different things. We need to have this collective work. Egypt generally and tourism suffered a lot from this scattering of authorities, and I think the government should work together to, especially when it comes to aviation and facilitating the charters coming to Egypt, reviewing the prices of Egypt Air, I know it's very important for Egypt Air, for the country, and to get back to making profits and all that, but it's also raising the prices of the flight tickets is not helping tourists. So they should come to a sort of a plan to overcome all the issues and the problems. We have lots of different issues that we should work on. Which actually we should have worked on in the last few years, but we have issues with infrastructure in many places and getting. There were lots of efforts being done in roads and facilities, but we need a lot more. We also need for the people working in the tourism, we need a lot more training, different curriculums in the education.
So do we need calibers here from Egypt in the field of tourism to travel and learn more and come back to be more professional, or do you think
I think
we do it here in Egypt?
I myself, I'm an international trainer for the World Federation for Tourist Guides, so I go and train tourist guides in different parts of the world. So
where at different parts, as in?
I gave training in Malaysia, in Brunei, in.
You give training to tourist guides?
Yes. So we have some of the best tourist guides all over the world. Yes. But we have to bear in mind that increasing the number of institutes and colleges in Egypt wasn't the best thing to do. So we have lots of graduates that are not up to the best standards. They should get more training. They should also give training for the many of the people that got actually licenses to practice the different jobs and in tourism, and they're not really qualified, and they haven't been because of the decrease in the number of the tourists in the last few years. They haven't been able to actually practice. So we need a lot more training, especially that we're facing a problem that because tourism didn't flourish in the last 5 years, so many of the sort of professional, experienced ones are actually either changing careers or not practicing
They change careers, sir, into what? What are the examples that you see?
I know, for example,
tourist guide to.
I know a tourist guide that will work in teaching a language or.
Is he capable enough of doing this, sir, of teaching a language?
It could be because they speak the language, but obviously teaching is something else. And,
exactly, that's why I was asking
no, it also needs qualifications to be a teacher. But based on the fact that a good tourist guide is able to pass the information and convey the message, I think it's in a way it's related to teaching. So, but generally speaking, I mean, whether teaching or other jobs, I mean, remember that there were people that didn't get any income for years, which is difficult. Especially the people in the tourist business used to make good money, and suddenly there was nothing. So
it's really annoying, yes, unfortunately, and it's bad luck. But
that's why it's very important.
This is the entire situation in Egypt, as the economic status in Egypt is not stable at the moment yet.
Exactly. So people are facing more problems.
Exactly.
And
in
so
all fields, and it's a vicious circle.
So they started working in other
So do you
fields.
think a solution to this touristic problem is coordination between touristic agencies and organizations and the governmental organizations?
This is an important issue, which is what I said is if we have a vision and we have goals to achieve, and we need to change the system and the policies that have been going on for some time. I know that tourism is not wasn't that good in the last few years, but at least we could have changed laws and rules and made a system that is capable of or adapting the changes that happen. Can you imagine that a tourist guide at the moment in Egypt gets a basic salary of $6 a day, and obviously the tourist guides are not working every day, so it's nothing. I mean, in comparison to yes, $6.
Six?
Yes.
Oh.
Which is, it's a shame, because there are other guides in places like, I won't say Europe, but say in comparison to Turkey or Jordan even, they get $150 and $200 a day. So obviously to get the qualified ones and the ones that can be real representatives of the country, as you know, a good tourist guide can actually be a good tool of promotion, since you have the word of mouth, and the people go back to their places and their families and their friends, and they tell them how much they enjoyed. So if the one doing the direct relation with the tourist is not qualified, it spoils the whole thing. So the role of a tourist guide being an ambassador, and also passing the information that gets people to enjoy a country with a vast history like Egypt immensely.
Sir, how do you think we should be able to promote tourism? Do you think we should do this through campaigns, like media campaigns, like promoting other means on social media? How do you think we can do this to facilitate tourism in Egypt and make it move more quickly, more easier, and facilitate it to help, because tourism is one of the main sectors. This has to move on forward for the economy of this country to move forward.
The Ministry of Tourism, I think they did good advertisement in the last few months, and it's working, and it's broadcast in many of the major channels. I think we need plans and programs to use social media a lot more than what we do now. I think also it needs events and inviting celebrities, which is, they started to do this. We are on the way, but we also need to sort of make the Egyptian bureaus for tourism all over the world to do a better job, and to actually use the people that can do this rather than the people that have been there for a long time.
Sir, it was a pleasure having you with us in today's interview in Cairo Local Time, our new program here on Nile TV International, and telling us more about means of promoting tourism here in Egypt. But before we wrap up this segment, sir, a very important question: how optimistic are you for tourism in the year 2017 here in Egypt?
I'm very optimistic that not just in tourism, but I think for the future of Egypt will be very promising in the next few years. I'm very optimistic, and I think tourism will play an important role very soon.
Hopefully we are, sir, and very optimistic as well too. And thank you so much, Mr. Michel William, for having you with us here on Nile TV International. Mr. Michel William, you're a tour guide, and you said you're a member of a federation. But you didn't tell me before the episode, so I did not say. Could you tell me again, please, your title?
I'm an international trainer for the World Federation for Tourist Guidance.
Very good day, sir, and thank you very much for having you here with us on Nile TV International. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with us tuned here on Nile TV International, for we have with us now, ladies and gentlemen, in a move aimed at encouraging more foreign visitors to visit Egypt. And this is related to what we were discussing with Mr. Michel William now. The Antiquities Ministry has announced a 20% discount on passes, allowing access to archaeological sites around Egypt through the month of January. The move is also intended to lure more Egyptian visitors to archaeological sites, helping to boost awareness of their distinguished cultural heritage. And also, as we continue to explore more in the ancient treasury, archaeologists from the University of Birmingham and the Egyptian Exploration Society, EES, project have found evidence for new tombs at the site in Aswan. Nile TV's representative Abir Mitwali has more in the following report. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned and don't go away.
The Egyptian Goddess of Protection Circuit is to welcome Egypt's visitors at Cairo International Airport starting Thursday, when a replica statue of the deity will be erected in Terminal 2. Amr Tibi, the Executive Director of the Antiquities Ministry Antiquity Replicas Unit, said that the statue will be taken from the unit's factory in Cairo Citadel to the airport on Thursday morning. Al-Tibi said that the statue is a gift from the Antiquities Ministry to the Civil Aviation Ministry in an attempt to encourage tourism as well as to highlight the ongoing cooperation between the two ministries as well as the Tourism Ministry. Al-Tibi explained that the polyester statue is 4 meters tall, weighs 150 kilograms and took 2 months to make. It is made of polyester and depicts Circuit, one of the 4 protective ancient Egyptian deities who stretched their arms to protect Tutankhamun's gold shrine, and she wears a scorpion on her head. Last month, the Antiquities Ministry offered Ecuador a replica statue of Ramses II, which is similar to the authentic one that was transported in 2006 from Ramses Square in downtown Cairo to the Grand Egyptian Museum overlooking Giza Plateau, which is yet to be opened. The statue was erected in Quichi Kondolo Square, which was subsequently renamed Egypt Square.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of today's episode of Cairo Local Time. Ladies and gentlemen, we brought you all the latest on the Egyptian scene that happened this week, and the latest of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the latest political, the latest culture, the latest touristic events that took place. Ladies and gentlemen, I was your host today, Rana Al-Qassas, and ladies and gentlemen, stay with us every week and every day for a new episode of Cairo Local Time, a new team, a new presenter, and until we meet again, from all the team here, our director Rami Abdelaziz, thank you so much for joining.